Unfortunately, prejudice and discrimination persist in our world. While society has made significant progress, the rights of people of color are no longer a taboo subject, but an established reality for which we are grateful. Nevertheless, there are still individuals who succumb to the irrationality of judging and accusing others based on the color of their skin. Fortunately, there are still honorable individuals capable of transcending these ideological barriers and delivering true justice. Tobias Ceron was a good man and one of the best police officers you could ever be lucky enough to meet. Ceron was still a young man. He always said that the people who really enjoy life are those who never get tired of playing and unleashing the child in them. Maybe that's why Tobias is still single and unattached, or maybe it's because he hasn't found the right person. Whatever the case, the idea of having or not having someone special in his life never bothered him too much. Ceron felt he was a free soul, and his greatest desire was to continue to make the world a safer and more just place. That's why he became a policeman. Tobias grew up and lived his entire life in Hapeville, Oklahoma. For him, there was no better place to live, even though it was clear to him that there were plenty of better places to be a police officer and where his career as an officer could have possibly flourished. Ceron never wanted to leave. "This is my home. My whole family is here, and I'm in love with the place where I've lived my whole life. If I have to be a better cop, I'll be a better cop here. That's very clear to me." The officer told his friends and family when they suggested a change of scenery or a transfer to a bigger police station. Ceron's family was well known in the city, a large family of humble origins that had prospered thanks to the hard work of all of its members. Tobias's parents were born in the slums of Texas. They barely had anything to survive on, but they always felt rich because they had the only thing they needed to get by. "We have love and we have faith. We don't need anything else. The Lord will provide. We just have to be patient," his mother always explained to him when Tobias was a little boy and asked them how they had managed to move to Hapeville and have their own business. The Cerons were bakers and had their own business in the center of town, Sweet and Tasty. It was a small but very cozy place, where they also served coffee and some desserts that Mrs. Ceron prepared with great expertise. It was not a business that would make them rich, but for them it was enough, and they were really proud of having been able to make it work despite all the difficulties. As a young boy, and for most of his teenage years, Tobias worked with his parents and helped them in the bakery after school. Ceron was always happy to be able to help them, and he really liked working there. But the young man knew that eventually he would have to go his own way and move away from the family business, even if it was only for a little while. "Mom, Dad, I want to be a policeman. I've made up my mind. I know you guys need to help in the business, but I need to be able to decide what I want to do with my life in freedom," was what Tobias told his parents when he turned 19. The agent had always had two dreams in life: to be a policeman or a video game developer. And since the latter was too complex, and Tobias was never good at science and technology, he decided to give his all to become a good policeman. Now, even if Ceron couldn't become a video game developer, that never stopped him from continuing to enjoy them. In fact, today, despite being 35 years old and an adult, he still hangs out with a group of friends who also love video game consoles and spend long hours playing together and discussing their favorite games. Today, Tobias is an experienced police officer who has been with the Hapeville Police Department for more than 10 years. With his hard work and kind character, Ceron had earned the respect and affection of all his fellow officers. The community held him in high esteem, and his family was truly proud of the good and responsible man he had become. His day-to-day life was usually quiet, as Hapeville was a place where crime was rare and the neighbors always tried to resolve any disputes amicably. However, there were also bad days when the police had to intervene to restore calm. July 24th, 2023 was one of those days. It all started with a phone call. Ceron was on shift and driving around downtown in his patrol car when he received a call from a very upset neighbor. The caller wanted the boy removed from the area. "We need the police to come as soon as possible and take away a young black man who's hanging around our neighborhood. I don't trust him. I think he's going to commit a crime. I'm sure he's analyzing the neighborhood and the businesses to determine the best target," exclaimed the man on the other end of the phone. Tobias deduced that he was an elderly man, so he tried to calm him down and explain what he was going to do to solve his problem. "Sir, I beg you to calm down and listen to me. You've told me that there is a child walking in your neighborhood and you think it's dangerous. However, nothing has happened yet, and I can't arrest anyone for walking down the street. You understand that, don't you?" Ceron tried to explain to the neighbor in a friendly way. "If you're more relaxed, in a few minutes I'll stop by the neighborhood in person and talk to the boy, okay? That's all we can do for the moment." Tobias knew how most of the complaints that a white American citizen made against a black person ended up. He himself had to intervene in many of them, and the result was always the same. The blacks ended up arrested with little time to explain themselves, and the complainant went home proud of having contributed to his community. However, unlike most stories in which the police are called to report black people, this story had a good ending. Because Tobias was not like most police officers, and because he was exhausted of the police not doing what was most fair for their citizens regardless of their skin color. When the policeman arrived on the scene, he saw a young black man walking down the middle of the main street. He was carrying a small backpack slung over one shoulder and pulling an old cart with gardening tools. Tobias didn't think it looked dangerous at all. The officer decided to approach the boy and ask him what exactly he was doing. What he found out from talking to him was really touching. The boy, whose name was August and who was 10 years old, explained the innocent and sweet reason he was there to the police officer. The minor told him that he was in the area because he wanted to do yard work to get money. It turned out that the boy just wanted to cut grass, pull weeds, and trim people's hedges, so he could save money to buy a PlayStation. "My parents have taught me that the things that we want come from hard work, and that if I want something, I shouldn't wait for others to give it to me. I have to earn it and get it by the sweat of my brow. And that's precisely what I'm doing. However, I don't think I'll ever get it. People give me dirty looks, and when I try to explain what I do, they shut the door on me with contempt. And I know they do it because I'm black. That will always be my condemnation. My parents taught me this too," the boy explained to him with a certain tone of sadness as he escorted the agent to his car. The agent was very struck by the young man's attitude. Little August was actually polite, respectful, and sincere. It was clear that this child was not a delinquent, and that the neighbor who had placed the call was a citizen with a very unfair racial prejudice. After talking to little August for several minutes, Officer Ceron, who, as we have already explained, was also a gamer and PS lover, was so impressed with what the boy was trying to do that he decided to help him. Tobias and some friends he used to play video games with got together to help make the boy's wish come true, and gave him what he was working so hard for, a brand new PlayStation. When the boy looked inside the trunk, he couldn't believe his eyes and burst into tears. "Is this really for me? But if you hardly know me, this gift is too expensive. I can't accept it," said the boy to the agent, not quite believing the great gift he had just been given. "Of course you can accept it. You've earned it. Besides, my friends and I want to give it to you so that you can learn how to play, and then, when you're older, you can come and play with us on our game afternoons. How about it, August?" "Great! I won't let you down, Tobias. I'll be eternally grateful to you. I wish all policemen were like you. You're a great man." The boy was really happy and could do nothing but thank him and cry with joy. To his surprise, everything that was happening was recorded by one of the neighbors of the neighborhood, and the next day, the beautiful solidarity action of the Agent Ceron was already famous on social networks. The publication also explained the real reason why the agent Tobias made that gift to the child, which caused the networks to be filled with hundreds of comments that applauded the solidarity of the policeman and, at the same time, were outraged by the racism that still exists among some residents of the city. The post became so famous that 2 days later, the official KOKH Fox 25 News Oklahoma account shared the story on the same platform. Thousands of followers jumped into the comments section to share their feelings, including one person noting how the neighbors who called the police should be ashamed of themselves. The comments also praised little August for the way he tried to earn money to buy his things, and his parents for raising him so responsibly. Meanwhile, someone wrote, "I would have let him mow my lawn whether he needed it or not. He can do other yard work. Bless him." a third person shared their love for the post and thought the neighbors were being shitty, and that their racist acts were drowned out by the cops' show of love. Finally, after the flood of comments defending the child and harshly criticizing the neighbors who distrusted him and dared to report him to the police, the neighbor who made the call wanted to publicly apologize to August and wrote in a comment on the post that he felt awful for having distrusted such a responsible and charming child. Currently, August and Tobias are good friends who share their passion for video games and an unforgettable anecdote that launched the police officer to fame. However, Tobias Ceron never wanted to be famous and rejected any type of interview for the media. He only did his job and what his values told him was the right thing to do. This beautiful story is one of the few in which racism loses the battle, showing us all that the only way to end prejudice is through education, tolerance, and love. Without those three things, society would end up being lost forever. Did you like this touching and surprising story? If so, we invite you to leave us a comment expressing your opinion. If you want to continue enjoying inspiring stories like this one, subscribe to our channel or check out the other videos shown at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for your cooperation.